Coach Deborah has a passion and purpose to assist young men, ages 15 to 24, to overcome obstacles and build their best lives. She wants to see every young man live out their potential. She has a master's degree in human services counseling, with a major in life coaching. More importantly, she is the mother of 3 boys, who are exceptional, educated, professional men. Coach Deborah believes it is better to train early, rather than need to fix later. She utilizes basic principles and God-led concepts. Sometimes the only thing a young man has is their credibility or their name. The actions they take are based on the decisions they make. Those decisions align with their choices and result in consequences. Coach Deborah can assist you if you are lost, floundering, or confused. Embrace the help and start building your best life today.
Welcome back to another exciting conversation here on Build Your Best Life. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Coach Ricardo Miller. Do me a favor, please share. Please share, because today we're talking about association. Birds of a feather flock together, man. And let me tell you something. If you ever read this book, you would know about this principle of association. But we're going to dive into this. I want to make it a really, really good talk today. I'm joined with 3 distinguished gentlemen, and I'm feeling some kind of way because, I'm almost 50. I'm claiming it, Deacon Dan. I'm 50 next year, and then I know you just celebrated your birthday, and we got these young guys popping in here, showing up. So we're going to go ahead, Deacon Dan. Your birthday just happened. Happy birthday, sir. How you feeling this morning?
I am feeling great. How's everybody else?
Go
ahead.
So you just celebrated your birthday. I told you drinks on me when we get together in person. And so feel free to order whatever you want. You can order a Starbucks. You can order a smoothie. Come on. You can do what you want, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's go on to Elder James Terrell. How are you doing, sir? Welcome to our Saturday morning conversation.
I'm doing well, sir. I'm excited to be on with you guys. Looking forward to the conversation.
Man, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And back over here, Derek, man. Derek has been doing his thing, going about speaking and training and coaching. Derek, welcome back. How you doing this morning?
I am doing wonderful. I am so elated about this opportunity. And I just feel like Coach Deborah, she be picking on me with these topics. It's like she's looking into my life and just picking these topics, just picking them right out of my life. And so this topic here is something near and dear to me. And I'm just looking forward to actually speaking on this topic and also hearing the perspective of the other gentlemen that's on this panel and what they feel about this topic.
All right, well, good deal. Well, good deal. We're going to dive right into this because I'm going to start with Elder James. Being that you're the newbie today, sir, I'm
Yes,
going
sir.
to a little bit. Association, birds of a feather. When you think of that whole term, association, birds of a feather, what comes to mind first and foremost?
When I think about that, when I hear that, what comes to my mind is pretty much, who you hang around is who you are. Those who you hang with, who you associate yourself with, is a representation of who you are and what you represent. And so, just being mindful about who you associate with is how other people will perceive you, and it's the reputation that you're putting off, whether you are that or not.
So good, so good. Deacon Dan, what's your view on it? Association, birds of a feather. When you think of that term, what comes to mind for you?
Well, the association with the others, but sometimes to me, birds of a feather association, you're trying to be like the other man, the other person.
Yeah.
And the association with them, if you're not self-motivated, I would say, you fall into that flock, and you start doing what they do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Motivational speaker, Derek, go ahead. Tell us, sir, what's your view? Tell us a little bit about association and birds of a feather. When that term comes to mind, what do you think of?
When I hear the term birds of a feather, the first thing that comes to my mind when we think about birds, what is the one distinctive thing that makes birds different? Their feathers. And so a lot of times we understand that we're unique, that we're all different. But so many times we feel like that difference is something that separates us instead of a common ground that we can build on in order to come together and bring something positive. So for me, it's about being unique, but also bringing that uniqueness to a group and still holding on to your uniqueness and not losing it within the association of everybody else.
Elder, talk to us when you think about this whole element of why would someone with high morale, they will dismiss that. They have this belief, they know better, right? To spend time with others and just to really play off what principle they already have been aware of, but they're not leaning into. What's your view there?
I think deep down inside, I think each of us have a desire to fit in.
Yeah.
Deep down in us, each of us have a desire to be accepted.
Yeah.
And so even individuals who know better, sometimes we wrestle with that part of us that wants to be accepted by other people.
Yeah.
And as a result, sometimes if we're not careful, we'll give in to that desire. And at some point or sometime, some way, sacrificing who we are and who we know and what we know we should be and should be doing.
So thank you so much for sharing that. Deacon Dan, the person has high morals. They've been taught, Deacon Dan. Hey, watch this. They know better. But they're dismissing it. Let's talk about that when it comes to association. What's your view?
Well, if they got this high morale, but they dismissing it, they're assigned to be like the other person. They don't want to stay in I'm gonna say stay in their lane, in their respected lane, and what they know right and what's no wrong.
Yeah.
They want to get the other person to like them. They just do what the other person do just to be hanging around with them. Maybe he just want company, and he'll take himself and take it down and let that high morale go and just get on their level. So instead of staying on his level and not only trying to be influence them, but just mixing their belief and the other person's belief together and trying to build themselves better.
So with our society, this association subject matter is such a big one. Derek, I know, you've seen it played out. You've had some experiences in regards to it. Person is taught they know better, right? But they're not living the better that they know. Talk to us.
And what you just said, it brought to my mind the cliche that's often used: if you knew better, you'll do better. And that's not always true. Because if you have a person with a high morale and then you have a person with a low morale, and they continue to hang out with each other and associate, there's going to be a level of homeostasis. The person with the low level is going to take some of the attributes from the person with the high level in order to continue to travel on the same path. And the person with the high morale is going to take some of the characteristic of the person with low morale in order to balance it out. Because if you're traveling on a road with somebody, you have to have a common ground, commonalities, and that's what's going to keep you together. That's the bond in which we have in our relationships, the commonalities. Yeah. So with that being said, in order for a person with a high morale and a low morale, in order to continue on the same path, they have to create a level of balance in order to continue to go forward.
It's interesting you said that. The scripture says it, how can two walk together lest they agree? And a lot of times we fail to evaluate and assess who we're walking with, because sometimes we're in agreement and we don't even realize, oh man, that's my homeboy right there. Hold on, man, but y'all, one is light and one is darkness. One is day and one is night. Elder, when you see people who say, you know what, this is what I believe, but what they think and what they do, does that influences? Because a lot of times people aren't thinking, okay, I'm with you, and what you say and what you think is actually going to affect me, or it's very rare that it doesn't. What's your view there, Elder James?
Okay, so I think we have to be mindful, right? Because I think individuals, we all have a tendency, I guess, to put off, what we want others to see, to see from us. And I think we see that a lot, especially in the social media realm, where individuals put off a certain facade. So it's what we think they are. It's what we think they are portraying. And sometimes we make decisions based upon what we think we may desire, what we may want, based on what a person may be perceiving themselves to be. And sometimes what an individual may perceive themselves to be or may be placing in front of us to see is not really who they are. Yeah. And so sometimes we can, if not careful, we'll, I guess, try to chase, I heard this saying some years ago, chase a person's highlight reel. Wow. We'll chase what the person is showing us, the good about that person, what they're showing us, what we think is good. But truth is that you're not sure what that person is going through, the mistakes they're making behind the scenes, the downfall, the darkness that's behind the scenes of an individual. Yeah. We're pursuing a person's highlight reel and not understanding what's behind the scenes and what comes with that. And so I think sometimes we can chase the perception of an individual, what they may show themselves to be, and not truly know who they are or what's really behind what we are being presented.
Wow. So good. Deacon Dan, what's your view?
Well, I mean, if that person really, this is my age, this is my friend, this is my cool, I got to, influence, but I can't really influence him. So what he's doing is growing on me. So I'm gonna drop my standards to allow him, to influence me and to be like him, not only just to fit in, but to stay in a relationship with him, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Right.
But the truth being said, instead of him influence the person to go in the right direction, which is good for him, he dropped his morale and he let himself be influenced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's not good, because what you think they do, and then how can you play two ends? You be with them in one way, and then when you get back, you're in the other society, you go back to where you were.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, something got to rub off or rub on somewhere.
With you saying that, I'm gonna shift it around a little bit for Derek, man. When we look at what was just said, Derek, the ability to fit in as a friend but stand out with morals. Do you think that aligns itself? Does that work? Where you see people like, okay, man, I dress different, I believe different, I do different, but that's my boy, and so I hang with him. But I dress different, I spend my money different, I date different kind of girl. I sort of like I'm everything different. What's your view on that? Because do that happen, or is that a rare type of position to be in?
Great question. That is very rare because, as I previously said, no matter what, when you have two individuals, there's going to be some level of homostasis. What happens is if you have two people traveling on the road and they're in two different cars, even though they may be going to the same destination, they might not take the same route. So you have a guy who's on the right path, and then he's cool with another guy who's not on the right path. Even by association, the dude on the right path might hit some detours. The dude on the wrong path gonna hit probably more detours than him. And even if they're on the same path and they're trying to go to the same destination, they probably won't get there at the same time. So with that being said, to answer your question, it's a rare thing because if I'm living a certain lifestyle, there are certain rooms that I can go into that a person who's not living that same lifestyle is not going to be able to get into. And just listening to what Elder James said, it brought me to the reel that I saw the other day with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders said at the height of his career, he tried to commit suicide. And he said, be careful who you look up as a role model, because some of these models are only playing roles.
Wow. Yeah, come on.
So when it comes to association and how you connect and associate with different people, as Elder James said, you have to be careful of who you associate yourself with, because even if you don't intentionally do it, the other person that you're connected to, you inherit whatever they're going through too. Like, say, for instance, I'm at a club with an individual who gets into it, even though it might not be my fight, but I'm with this individual. And there it is. I'm part of the fight also because of my association.
Wow. So I'm going to go over to the Elder James. I want to talk about that whole dress different, speak different, different morals, different value. Fellas say, hey, man, I don't smoke weed. I don't drink. I don't sag. I don't cuss, but I do hang with the boys. What advice you give to that 16-year-old? What advice you give to that 21-year-old in regards to that's his point? He's strong. He's locked in on this particular point.
I think you have to be mindful. And as Derek said a second ago, that eventually there's going to be a mix. There's going to be a mix, and so while you may be strong for so long, continue to associate with that individual who are doing these negative things. Eventually, in some way, and will rub off on you, and it'll be real subtle, right? You may not notice the changes, and you may have the family members telling you're starting to act different. You may not notice it because in your mind you're good, but slowly but surely you'll begin to have that influence rub off on you. And more times than not, unfortunately, the negative rub off on the positive at times, especially when it's multiple people in the group who are doing negative things, and you're the one person who's trying to do right, who's trying to stay strong. Now, I do think it's a balance, because I do think at some level we have to have positive influence on those who we're connected to.
Right.
And in order to positively influence, there has to be some level of connection.
Right.
But if I know you're smoking weed, I'm not going to go with you to hang out at your house knowing y'all going to be smoking weed there. If I know you're drinking, I'm not going there knowing you're drinking. I'm going to be mindful in which environments I associate you in, because I understand that some environments are a setup for me to become influenced.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to completely cut you off, because in order for me to influence you positively, I have to be connected to you at some level in some way.
So good. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, today you're listening to Build Your Best Life, Conversation with the Guys, and we're talking about association, birds of a feather. Do me a favor and share this. If you're watching on YouTube, take the link and go ahead and share it to somebody. Because listen, guys, if you're a mom and you have a son, this is a great conversation to really have them to listen to. I want to share this as I get ready to go to our next question or point we're going to talk from it. It leans into this. Years ago, I remember this young man. He graduated high school right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area early. We were so proud of him. He actually was like 6 months earlier than everyone else. But here's what happened. Deacon Dan. I was like, what are you going to do with the 6 months before you go off? He wanted to join the service. I think at the time, he wanted to be a Marine. And he had enrolled, did all the paperwork, but it was going to take 6 months or so before he would have to go into the service. And he said, well, Pastor, I'm just going to chill out. I'm just going to chill and hang out until it's time. And that's that. Long story short, they were all hanging out in this abandoned house. And the police showed up. Guys jumped on the bikes, and they all broke off running. And he jumped on the bike with one of the dudes. The dude told him, hold the backpack. He held the backpack. They crashed the bike. The dude ran off. He's holding the backpack. The police caught him. He got the drugs on him. He got charged with supply, not just with a joint. He, intent to supply. I'm talking about totally wrecked his plans, totally throwed everything off. Deacon Dan, looking back at your life, looking back at scenarios you've seen, we want to highlight a situation that could have been one where you saw someone walked away and it was a positive thing, or you saw someone did not walk away and they choose to associate and it was very damaging. Do you have a story to share with us?
Well, I think I shared this before, but I had one of the young men when I was coaching baseball at the church. Very athletic in all sports. I mean, football, basketball, track, baseball.
He was like a young Deion Sanders.
Right. And then all of a sudden, he's waiting to get into college. He got a full ride.
Wow.
But he's going to associate with another one of his friends that stay in this, I'm going to say in this project home where the young men's there, normally known for violence or criminal activities. But anyway, he connected with one, and when are they gonna rob this guy? Well, the guy he never used a gun, never had a gun before, but the gun he had accidentally went off. The guy they gonna rob, he got shot. He was dismantled permanently for a while. So he lost everything. He was 2 months away from going to college.
Wow.
Now he's serving 20-some years in prison. And, that's something that, he can't do. And I'm going to relate to another one. I just got a phone call from another young man that his nephew, we have a lot of car theft, break-ins. He was hanging around these fellas, but he never got in the car. He just hanging around with him. It's 16-year-old. It's 2:00 in the morning. First of all, why are you out there? Secondly, you're in the wrong neighborhood. You're not in your neighborhood. So when they stopped him, they arrested the young man, charged him with auto theft, burglary. And so he, it's on him now. Never been in trouble before, but he wants to say he didn't do anything wrong. My thing to him, first thing, why are you out there at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Right.
You 16, then you're not even in your neighborhood. You hanging out with these fellows dressed in all black. That's another thing that I have a really problem with. These young guys, they just start dressing all in black. And to me, if I was still in law enforcement, I'd probably stereotype them. because hey, y'all got dressing black, y'all this is number trouble. Either you finna get in trouble, you're in a gang, or something's not quite right. So why are you there? What the purpose of you being there? Just to fit in? Yeah. I don't need a relationship like that.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're capturing what we're trying to share today. And the goal is to really bring some awareness, just some awakening. Because sometimes somebody says, I wish someone had told me. Derek, go ahead and share an experience, a lesson learned, a good example of what we're trying to talk about.
I mean, first of all, I think Deacon Dan was reading my bio from my website, the story he was just talking about, because I was that guy, 18 years old, full ride scholarship, played basketball, football, star, but I hung around with the wrong individuals. And eventually, through my association, I got into a situation where I was sentenced to 25 years in prison. I served actually 17 calendar years, over 6,000 consecutive days in prison.
Wow.
And if you look at me, you will never know. Because why? That same principle of negative association I used to turn it around and get positive association. That's why you see me connecting with Ricardo Miller, Coach Deborah, Deacon Dan. These people are actually making a positive impact in my life because I learned the importance of the power of association. Just like it works in a negative way, it also works in a positive way. So anybody who's listening to this, please learn to use the power of association to better your life. That would be my message.
Wow. Ella James, how you gonna close this particular point out? What's your point you're gonna bring to the table, sir?
So I remember, and just point here, just kind of is just a reminder to be yourself, be who you are, and be confident in that, because other people, they know who you say you are and who you portray yourself to be. I remember in high school, I was hanging with some classmates, and I forget the conversation, but I was engaging in the conversation, making comments, making statements. And one of the kids in the group made this response to me. He said, "Man, James, I thought you said you were a Christian." And from that moment, it hit me like, wow, okay, I need to be and display who I say I am, because there are other people, they know who I say I am, and they're going to hold you to that standard. And if they're going to hold me to that standard, then I need to hold myself to that standard. Because if this is the standard that I set for myself, if this is who I want to be, then there's no need for me to try to fit in, knowing that's not who I am. And when you do that, when you're trying to fit into individuals, knowing that's not who you are, they're going to know that's not who you are.
Yeah.
You're not going to look right. You're not going to feel right. And just be who you are. Be who you are, and be confident in it. And that's the moment. That's the realization I had. Like, okay, I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to sacrifice that, and I'm going to be okay with it, because I'm just going to believe and be comfortable with who I am, who I desire to be.
Wow. I like what you just said. That's going to help us navigate towards this new point I want to bring with 2 tips. I'm interested in hearing some tips on you find a friend who is not walking the path to building your best life. What advice would you give to somebody? I like what you just said, Ella Jane. I want you to, if you can, give us a couple of more. Just taking somebody struggling, hey man, this is what I believe, but my friend doesn't believe what I believe. My friend hits women. My friend smoke weed. My friend steal. My friend does these things. Should law enforcement have to arrive to the situation because of what my friend does, I could find myself in trouble as well. What's your view on that? Give us 2 tips before I go to Derek.
Okay. First of all, I'll say to that individual that you have to make sacrifices now that your friends aren't willing to make, and I promise you that you'll get results in the future that they don't have. There are a lot of people who in high school, they did all of the cool stuff, right? They did all the stuff. They were hanging out, and there were certain sacrifices I made then. So at the moment, I missed out on fun. But then you look years later, and you look at, some of the things that God has allowed me to walk in, and then also look at some of the stuff that they're walking in. I'm thankful that I made some of the sacrifices I made then. So make some sacrifices now, because it's going to pay off. So if you got to sacrifice what looks fun now, make those sacrifices and make the investment today that's going to impact you positively tomorrow. Another word of advice I would give is kind of hitting on what I just said a second ago, but just know who you are, right? Just know who you are. Like, know who you are, know what you desire, and understand that every decision you make today does affect you tomorrow. And sometimes we think because we're young, because you may be young, you may be a kid, that you can make certain decisions now and they won't have an effect on your adulthood, but it will. So know who you are, know what your future is, know what you desire to be. And every decision you make ought to be a decision that leads you to the future that you say you want to have.
That is so good. Derek, what do you say?
First of all, I think that we have to embrace our uniqueness. If we know and understand that we were created to be unique because we have a certain mission on our life, the way we were created is because that is what we needed. The way that we were created is what we needed to be created in order to fulfill what we came here to do. So embracing that uniqueness and not losing that uniqueness to try to fit in, you're actually going against what you were created to do. And so the first tip is always embrace your uniqueness. And even embracing in your uniqueness, you can always share what you are and what you have with others. You connect through a common ground because you are not the only person going through what you're going through. So embrace your uniqueness and share your story to connect with others. And once you do that, the power of association, as you have always taught me, Ricardo Miller, that it will bring the right people into your life. When you're on the right path, you're doing what you're called to do, when you're fulfilling a purpose, the right people that need to be in your life in order to help you get to your destiny will appear. Those would be my 2 tips.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Deacon Dan, what's yours?
Well, my first tip, in your upbringing, you was taught right from wrong. So you need to do the right thing. So it can take you a long ways. Whereas if you do the wrong thing, it could lead you into death or incarceration. Since you are aware of the things around you and the person you're hanging out with, and he's your friend, you need to encourage him to do the right thing, which means influence him to pull away from what he's doing and go in the right path. Because if it don't, it's going to lead you into destruction. Secondly, become I like to say, a God-fearing man. If you fear God, God don't do nothing but, you ask you to do the right thing. As long as you do the right thing and you believe in him, he's going to show you the way. So if you keep him and do the right and do the wrong, do the right thing, and you got God in your life, you can build a future. You can build your life better. As they say, build your best lives.
So good. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about association. I love Build Your Best Life, this organization. It hosts different events, and there's a virtual event. It's called the 5th Annual Virtual Men and Boys Conference. This is going to be so good. And here's the deal. If you haven't been connecting with Build Your Best Life, go ahead and connect today, and make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and try to take advantage of this information. I believe As the scripture teaches us, it says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. I believe that knowledge is being given today. Now the question is, are you going to lean in to apply? Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you guys to give us closing remarks. Share your thoughts. There is a mother out there who still has their child's ear. They still have their son's ear in regards to talking to them, but they haven't grabbed a hold of the principle that you're about to share, and you need to lean in to tell them, please do this and help your child. And then there are some young men who are watching this and they're like, you know what? I need to get my act together. My association has definitely been hindering me from maximizing my potential. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let this start off with Derek. Then we're going to go to Elder James and close out with Deacon Dan.
And this has been a recurring message that I've been hearing this past week, but it's also been something that's been over time. If you have a young boy, young kid, and you really want them to be on the correct path, or if you are that young man who's trying to get on the correct path, find you a mentor. That's one key that has the ability to change the trajectory of the rest of your life. Because what happens when you connect with a mentor, like I did with Ricardo Miller, is you're going to stop. He's going to help you not make some of the same mistakes that he did. Or he's going to get you to that next level. What would normally take you 3 years, he can help you do it in 3 months. Because experience is they say is the best teacher, but it's not necessarily you having to go through the experience. You can get the experience of another person, quote unquote, a mentor, to help you get to where you're trying to go and get on the right path and take the right steps to get to where you're trying to go in order to build your best life. And so my tip will be find you a mentor.
That's good. That's good. Derek stole mine, but I'll even add this though. Along with finding a mentor, I think you also need to associate and connect with like-minded people, like-minded peers. Because sometimes, yes, a mentor is amazing, a mentor is great, but it's also important to have people, young people who's your age, who are trying to accomplish what you accomplished, and having you all push each other to where you're trying to go. It's nothing like your peers positively influencing and motivating you, and you all grinding it out together to become and to be what you desire to be. So find like-minded individuals. Disconnect from those who are doing bad things, but connect with people who have the same mindset that you have, who desire the same thing that you desire, and you help each other accomplish what it is that you are setting out forth together.
Yes.
Deacon Dan. I like what both Elder James and Derek said. I guess I'm just adding just a little bit more to it. Really look deep down into yourself and find out where I wants to go. Who I can connect to and what direction I need to go to. Well, I need to find some help to go in that direction. Because if you look deep down in your soul, if you say, I wants to become a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, I want to become a welder, what a trade you want to do. And that's what you go after. Don't worry about, I understand connecting to a peer of your age, whatever. But if you got to go it alone, go alone.
Yeah.
Reach your goal.
That's good.
Because I'd rather for you to go alone and reach your goal than to reach out to one of your peers and he's not going the same direction you are. So go in the directions that are going to best help you and your family. Not in a direction that's going to hurt you and disappoint your family.
That's good stuff.
So that's my closing remarks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Listen, every month we show up here and we're talking about stuff that really leans into trying to help mothers with sons, trying to help young men to just start to think a little bit different. I heard Derek says, he says experience is a phenomenal teacher that you don't have to have, but you can capture from someone else.
So true.
Come on, man. Come on. And so moms, listen, this is the platform for you. If you have not secured this book yet, make sure you get your copy. I got a hardback and I got a softback. Okay. Let me just tell you this one. The hardback is the keepsake, so I can make sure in time I'm able to say, I got that. But then the softback is what I've been carrying around. I want to encourage you to get the book, reach out to Coach Deborah and says, I need a copy of this book to make sure this young man I have in this house, my nephew, my little cousin, he needs to read this. And then what we need to do is encourage young people to read again, encourage them to get into books and really develop their minds. But in addition, the conference is coming up. You want to make sure that you attend the Boys and Men Conference that's held by this organization. It's going to be real good. She has some really good speakers, and I'm telling you, it's going to be life-changing. Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving up some of your time on this beautiful Saturday morning. We have Dallas. We got Dallas, and we got Jacksonville represented. And so neither of us are going to the Super Bowl. But be it as it may, blessings to you all. Once again, thank you so much, Coach Deborah. This has been a great talk. Let's make sure we share this with our friends and our colleagues, just for them to add to the conversation in the comment section. We love and appreciate you all. See you next month. Thank you, guys.
Join Coach Deborah D. Smith for the 5th Annual Virtual Men and Boys Conference. This year's theme is Blueprint for Training Young Men. The event kicks off at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time nightly from Monday, June 10th to Thursday, June 13th, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Special guests include Kaiwan Gibson, Guy Moreno, Pastor Basil Johnson, and Nathaniel Butler. These highly respected, influential speakers will engage in motivating, knowledge-driven content to empower our young men as they journey through life. For more information, visit www.buildyourbest.com.